don't have a Trump sign, a Trump hat, or Trump shirt or Trump anything. I would appreciate it if I did any, if I decided to do any sort of collaborating with Trump's camp or Cruz's camp or anybody else's camp. They let me not be negative towards Trump. If I work for the other people, I'm willing to do that. What I did there, what they had me do before was make phone calls and stuff like that. We do door to door stuff, but here in Florida, northern Florida, the Jacksonville area where I'm at, it's a little bit difficult to do campaign work like that because it is hot and muggy, and it really is a kind of a team thing. Like I can go on my own and I can go house to house by myself, but I prefer to have somebody else with me, like two people, so that I don't know if it's a witness that I'm looking for or what in particular. I just think that it's better if two people work that magic and not split up necessarily. I mean, if they're good enough, if they were the walk for the Republican Party enough, then maybe they can go their different ways like that. When you're on a street, you still have a group of two people or more, and you have one work one side of the street and one work the other side, um, to just talk whatever the politicians have for you to door and solicit there with your political agenda and approach or whatever. But I have a slight bit of a slogan that I'm gonna do myself. I don't care if Trump tries to use it or if anybody else really uses it, even if a Democrat uses it. I am going to use this as a slogan for myself for Trump, and it is I believe. I believe that he can throw all those Democrats in jail, in prison for all the high crimes that they've committed and set a precedence and show that he's not guilty of any crimes. That he's had to, even though some guy just said he was born with the silver spoon up his butt, well, that's pretty negative. I don't get irate or frustrated when people talk negative about Trump. I get a little bit frustrated when people talk about Ben Carson in particular because he's such a nice, down to earth person. So I've said a couple of things that weren't nasty. I wasn't trying to be nasty about anything or it at all. I was just explaining that if these guys are going to, if I'm a Republican candidate, they're going to have me go and debate all these other Republicans so that we can show the world all of our flaws, for one thing. And then they want to ask me liberal questions. Why aren't you asking me the conservative questions? And how come more Republican candidates aren't telling them to fly and stick it? You'll fly and stick it with that liberal stuff. I'm a Republican candidate, and I didn't come here with an elitist establishment agenda to go to Washington and keep beating the same drum that they have beaten up there. We want we want a realistic change, and we want to set a precedence, and we want to get the criminals out of our government before it goes too far and our country does wind up like Mexico or whatever else is going to succumb to being run by a complete um, but buffooing um, uh, terrible characters um, in Washington. So you got the establishment following the status quo on the Republican side. What I see more and more every day, I see what I've been voting for my whole life is the status quo to follow them and make that deal with the Democrats, not the Democrats make a deal necessarily with Republicans. Whatever you guys asked for in the immigration thing was chicken crap, and I guarantee you that whatever trade they gave to Paul Ryan or whatever this joker Paul Ryan thinks he is, this new joke of a House Speaker that they have, in my opinion, he's a joke. I used to like the guy because he talked about fixing the economy and setting America straight. But seeing as how he just went in there and made a complete buffooing deal with the establishment, that's what the Democrats are aimed towards doing. They're the ones that are setting the stage for all these domino pieces, or however you want to say that, they'll fall into place to completely corrupt the system and to have corrupt power. There's a difference between power and authority and corrupted power and authority. And I'm surprised that many Americans don't know the difference between that, and they want to sum it up like the Republicans are like the lesser evil. So that's what I would consider them, the lesser the evil, if they're evil at all. But I always try to think of the Republicans and the Republican Party necessarily as not the corrupted ones. So it's a completely bombardment from the left doing all these things. And I'm not endorsing any particular candidate right now. I like Trump and Cruz from what they've been saying more so. If one of them, either one, whoever makes it, would like it. I think that would be neat if they asked the other one to be their vice president. That I think would be sweet. But that's only because they're more of the serious people. And I see that Jeb Bush is a very sincere guy, and I understand a lot of people empathize with him, seeing as he is a down to earth person. But I didn't say he was a jerk or anything like that. I just said I do not think that he's the guy who's going to be able to beat Hillary or whoever else the Democrats have up there. I don't think he's the one. I think the one that's going to beat it and who's going to be able to set the precedents for the status quo is going to be Donald Trump. And if he doesn't break a single law and they try to impeach him over some political correctness or some bullshit like that, I am rioting in this place like the blacks. I'm going to ignite something very raw and serious in this country, and I'm going to lead a movement of people. Mark my words, I swear to you, I swear it to YouTube and the entire world that I will do this. We will riot and we will tear this sucker up if you guys go after Trump whenever he becomes president and he has to go and deal with the corrupt criminals that are still in there. And yes, Paul Ryan has become a corrupt criminal because he's propagating for the actual criminals there, and he's siding with it instead of standing up against the status quo and what these people are doing to our sovereignty as people, as individuals, not just a country, but individual sovereignty. Me to, have my own strength against corruptness and bad people in particular. It makes me freaking worried. Ever since Obama got in there and all the stuff that he started doing, it made me start worrying that my house was going to get home invaded. Or, being out in public, I'm not necessarily as worried being out there, but as far as my own protections in here, it just makes me think that Obama is setting a tone, and Hillary would too, and so would Bernie Sanders or any of them pukes from the left, would set a tone on taking guns away from people and allow us to be more victims and victimized by crime and criminals. So that's one of the things where I'm coming from. My personal position isn't somebody who wants to just be nasty and just thinks that Democrats are a bunch of pieces of shits. I personally believe that they are screwing with our own protections and safeties. And now the people that killed the 4 Americans in Benghazi, they're bringing refugees over here. They're gonna try to stick us with 1 million or a couple of million of these hothead Arabs that want to take over the world through their religion, which is completely a idealistic, want to take over your country and make America a actual Muslim country. So we'll have to listen to what their Sharia rules are or whatever and be subject to that. I really believe that that is what they are doing. Instead of giving those people democracy and using our troops to fight for democracy around the world and doing the right thing, while you have the troops all mounted up and locked and loaded, and they got all their ammo and gear on, you're not going to have them go fight real terrorists and really conquer oppression and help spread democracy. So then you're going to bring a bunch of refugees over here that sound and look and resemble a lot like the people that killed the 4 Americans in Benghazi. So coming from Syria, looking just like the Libyans that killed the 4 people there, Christopher Stevens and his 3 bodyguards that were there. I think that is high crime, big time bullshit, and I became intensely serious about Obama going to prison and Hillary going to prison and then having to be charged and face the music for what they did over there ever since that happened, because I was raised in the Marine Corps and I have a lot of understanding about reality, and the way things really are. And the way things really are is, if Obama and Hillary wanted those 4 Americans' lives to have been saved, they could have done it on the whim of a drop of a hat. It could have been as easy as that. And those 4 Americans would be here today alive. So now I have to consider the notion or the idea that maybe possibly, um, and it's not possibly, it is completely true, that there is going to be a huge number of hostile foreign fighters that are going to be coming here now. So now they're crammed down here. So he pulls us out of Iraq, that gives them a strong ISIS hold thing, bullshit, Islamic bullshit thing all across the world, the war, and in here the same nasty ass people that killed Christopher Stevens and his three bodyguards. If I was a personal bodyguard and that's what I trained to do and that's what I did for my profession and my career, and I was supposed to be stuck out there, I would not go with somebody who is a Democrat. I would have to find out. I would consider it if the person's character acted nonpartisan. If they took a approach like, whoa, I don't want to be political. I'm going to be as less political as I can, and I'm going to just be as common sense oriented as possible. Then I would consider being their security agent. But if they're a Democrat, there's no way, knowing that they're sitting there doing deals and they're willing to get a probe in their butt and be slain and killed like that for Obama's nasty reason or whatever his illegal scam was over there. Um, I'm saying I'm saying right now, I seen a video on YouTube and now I am convinced that that's what we have to do. Contact our Republican congressman, and tell Trump, this is kind of a Trump video, so if he saw that, would be grand. That would be really neat. I think he's a pretty cool guy. I think he sounds a lot like myself and other Americans, a typical tone of the Americans, and I agree with the people who say that. But I want a complete criminal investigation on these people, and I want heads to roll over the Benghazi thing. That one in particular has had, from what I understand now, witnesses have been silenced by death, and also through other ways, the Obama administration, whoever else, is putting a gag on these people somehow. I don't even know how that's even legal. They've got some information to share about what was going on there in particular, and not only that, but how long ever ago it was going on. Is there still some kind of secret illegal operation going on with Obama and them? Do they not want us to know the true facts that Obama is giving those people food and aid, rations like that, and ammo and guns and trucks and cars and supporting ISIS? Is that possibly, how come uh, Obama is getting able to put a gag order on these people is because it's still a ongoing thing. So as soon as we change of guard, so to speak, there in Washington in the White House, then we'll be able to focus that operation and just stop it. Stop all that shit. Stop it. Knock it off. This is an honest country with honest, decent people in it that don't need to be manipulated by a corrupt system and a mafia mindseted, twerpy ass, freaking skinny little worm ass Democrat Party is what it is. It's just a wimpy ass little piece of shit is what it is. So what I'm saying here is um, whatever they were doing over there, we need to shut that shit down so that it's not top secret anymore. And then any of the people that were involved in the Benghazi thing that know anything, the whistleblowers and everybody else, make it a situation where it's completely legal and decriminalized for them to speak up and speak out about it. So I don't understand private hearings and stuff like that, and then they tell these people like Trey Gowdy, who's conducting these, and other people or whatever, and then you got the Democrat, that black Democrat guy up there, he keeps on acting like this is just ridiculous. I hope people don't catch on, that I'm a complete criminal swine. I'm following this establishment criminal mafia mindset shit is what it is. I don't appreciate the mafia. I don't appreciate um people who are into organized crime doing that in particular. The people involved. About the only people that I would show any respect to in this world that do stuff like that, and they deal a lot of drugs, would be the Hell's Angels. I have a lot of respect for the Hell's Angels. So all I could do, holding respect for those guys in particular, all I could say is somebody who would be talking to them like a brother. I would say, dude, I think that you guys have a lot more potential than to just be delving in drugs and to be high all the time and to be selling drugs all over the country. I think that you guys have such tremendous potential. Them and possibly other crime syndicates can go straight, can totally turn it around, and can be legitimate for a change. So a whole new different scheme, a whole new different kind of operation. So that's what we have in there. So I believe totally in Trump. I'm not saying who I'm gonna vote for. I'm not saying if I'm gonna vote for a third party. All I can tell you is I'm so disgusted with the Democrat Party that um I could really from how angry they have and upset they've made me in particular, personally, from how disgusted I am from what I've seen here. Translation for them being somebody totally other foreigners president, not even American, not even representing Americans, American president. I could totally inflict some severe pain onto myself not being able to legally really do that and get away with it to somebody else, and I would appreciate if I could direct that anger and energy at the real person. But I'm serious. I have been so frustrated that I could blow a blood vessel, but I would totally endure inflicting my own self with some pain, mutilate myself, stuff like that. It has angered me to such a level that I'm willing to do that at times just to try to calm down a little bit from how frustrated me from abusing and attacking people in my country, and all these people, instead of to where we are now, to all of us being prosperous and being set towards a path of what we choose and where we want to go. That's the American dream, and everybody American dream is different for every individual in this country. So they want to strip all those things away from us, and it's I doubt that Obama ever came to do anything positive. Some people try to tell me this crap like, oh, politicians usually they go there, they have good intentions, and what they're trying to say is once they get there and they see what they're up against, then that's then they join it instead of being against it so much. But I'm not so sure that I agree with that so much. I see Ron Paul all the time. I see Trump spouting that, but there's a few Republican candidates, maybe independent candidates, that I see that could work well with Trump if he won. That could be in his cabinet. Um, and I would also like to put a suggestion in here. Alan West. Alan West is a real American. I really like him. Thanks.